What is up, Buffalo Fanatics? Z-Bot Rico. It's Rico and Bot live on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel on a Sunday night. Rico, the first day of March, free agency next week, the draft officially next month. The worst time of the year is slowly but surely coming to an end. How are you feeling, brother?
It feels like the season just ended. We're now into combine, and we're talking receivers. We're talking. There's a whole lot going on right now, and this is the part of the year that we start to come out of our slumber. Right, season ends. Super Bowl there's that lull, and now we're creeping back into it. So I'm excited about that part. And we've got quite a few things that we need to talk about today. So I'm glad that we are here. It's a Sunday night. Not used to this, but put this in your Rolodex as the post game show. We kind of get that. Let's get that vibe going, and let's get to talking some football, baby. I'm excited for this. Excited.
You know, it's amazing. You just said that, it feels like the season just ended, and in many ways it did. It just ended a couple of weeks ago. What I find extraordinary every year, because obviously I'm not sitting around basking in the glory of what the Bills just did. I'm watching the glory be obtained by somebody else. What always kills me about that period of time that you were referring to is how small of a period of time that it is. Like, you spend all year waiting to get to that moment, right? So say you're a Seahawks fan. So You've spent not only all year, but you've spent every year since the Marshawn Lynch no run, Malcolm Butler interception. You've spent every moment since then trying to get back to that moment. And then within a week, it's like, all right, free agency targets. What are we thinking? Like, it's always crazy to me how much time is dedicated to, of course, the pinnacle of the sport, winning it all. And you're really not spending more than a couple of days before the next page is turned to free agency, mock drafts. It's incredible how fast-paced this sport is. But on top of that, there's no room to breathe because it's 365. So, like, not only does it move so fast, but it's the full duration of the year as well. It's constantly on your toes.
I'm all about. I don't mind the slow ramp it up, because it kind of like, you don't want to get full blown right into it. You kind of want to ramp up. So the combine is a great way to kind of have get football conversations going again. So time does fly, and it just, in the blink of an eye, dude, we're gonna be in OTAs. All of a sudden, it's like first cuts. You're like, whoa, are we here already? And then boom, week one. It just happens so quick, man.
It's going to hit when you see that new stadium open, because that still feels like a pipe dream. Like, if you really come to grips with the fact that the Bills are playing in a brand new multi-billion-dollar stadium in just a couple of months from now, that's crazy.
I just had my buddy hit me up, and I guess season ticket holders. He got himself some season tickets, and they're like, hey, we want to just prepare you and welcome to being a season ticket holder. We can't wait to see you. And there was a beautiful shot of what the concept of what the stadium is going to look like. That thing looks nice. Yeah. There's a bit of a setback. There's a bit of a setback with all that stuff that's going on right now. But that thing's looking nice. We got to make our way. We got to make our way next year. We got to make it happen.
We will make it happen. Now, the question is, who's going to be playing in that new stadium this upcoming season? Rico, surely we know Josh Allen will be leading the boys out onto the new Highmark Field. Who will be accompanying him? Well, he will be alongside a new head coach, not a new coach, but a new head coach. He'll be alongside the same GM. There will be several of the same faces, but there will be new faces as well. And there's one positional group of note that I think we all agree will have some new faces, and that is the wide receiver position. It's been the hot topic. You could really say for now, we're going to go on at least a full calendar year, if not 2 years straight, of talking almost primarily about the wide receiver position when it comes to the Bills' offensive side of things. And it's crazy because you have the MVP at quarterback, the rushing title winner at running back, one of the better offensive lines, but yet the constant thing you go back to is, when are these Buffalo Bills going to figure it out at wide receiver? And maybe this offseason is the time in which they do that. So let's dive into this conversation, the conversation we've had a ton, but we have to continue to have it, and it continues to evolve. And I really don't get sick of having this conversation, Rico, because I am dying to see what the aggressive approach by Brandon Beane is going to be, because I keep hearing that this is what's going to happen, whether it be from within the building themselves or from the mouthpieces of the league. Aggressive, aggressive, aggressive. Yep. Jeremy Fowler, this past week at the Combine, boots on the ground, getting some info. I think this is one of the cooler things about the Combine beyond the workouts, seeing the college players showcase their stuff. You start to get the leaks, right? You got the media meeting with these GMs and these guys in person, and then you start to hear a little bit about this, a little bit about that. Jeremy Fowler, one of the guys out in Indianapolis gathering some information for ESPN. He says one thing that I think it was inevitable. To me, it'd be the equivalent of Rico of saying the sky's blue, water is wet, and that's the Buffalo Bills are going to be aggressive at going after a wide receiver. He says that that's the knowledge amongst rival teams, is that they're going to be going in an aggressive manner towards acquiring a wide receiver. I think that goes without saying. The interesting aspect of what he reported was that many executives in the league are linking two wide receivers at the moment to Buffalo. And that is Seattle Seahawks Rashid Shaheed and the Green Bay Packers wide receiver Romeo Doubs. These are the two names that have been linked to the Buffalo Bills, according to Jeremy Fowler, who says that this is of the mindset of those in the league, that these are the two guys right now linked to Buffalo. Now, as soon as the season ended, Rico, I think the immediate thought was, what can the Bills do to get Justin Jefferson, right? That caliber of wide receiver. What are they going to do in the draft? Well, now reality's starting to come into play a little bit here as we get into March, right? Rashid Shaheed, Romeo Doubs. You see this report. What's your initial reaction to the idea of one of these two guys being what could be the big move for Big Baller Bean this offseason?
I'm annoyed. I'm gonna tell you what. Let me keep it a buck a little bit. All right. I'm a little frustrated and annoyed a tiny bit because we have Bills fans. We were screaming for we don't have the proper receivers on this team. We don't have the bona fide number one. We don't have that deep threat. We don't have. That's all we heard all season was we don't have. And then the minute we got a bit of a spark, it came from a 32-year-old Brandon Cooks. So and Shaheed was all I heard about was we could have had him. That could have been the guy on our team. And now he's potentially available. And Bills fans are scoffing at it. If he does that move, that's just not enough. What? What are we talking about here? If he goes to get Romeo Doubs, that's just not enough. So what do you want? Do you want a made up, you know what I'm saying, created player receiver that's just going to fall in our laps? Bro, we have an elite quarterback. So any of these two guys immediately becomes receiver one in our squad. So what are we talking? Why are we scoffing at that? I'll never understand that. So I need you to make me understand where we have this right to Brandon Beane needs to go get our receiver one. Where's he going to get it? They're not giving up Justin Jefferson. Knock it off. It's not happening. So you're either going to trade for one and it's going to cost you. So are you going to go for A.J. Brown? I already hear people saying, A.J. Brown's 29 and I don't know if he's got it anymore. We become so ridiculous at this time of year. It sickens me because during the season, oh man, if we had an A.J. Brown, this would be so big. We in the offseason, all of a sudden we're picky choosy. I don't know. A.J. Brown, not so much. I see it. It sickens me. So what do you want, Bills fans? You're not going to get Jerry Rice. He ain't coming out of nowhere. Okay? Like, cut it out already. What we need is a receiver one type of receiver that commands respect. Okay? Either he's going to hit you deep. Shaheed does that. Doubs does that. Can move in the intermediate. They can do that. Can move positionally. Can go from X to the slot position everywhere. That's the type of receiver you need. And then you let Josh Allen do the rest. But to think that, oh, no, Doubs, nah, I'm good. He's just a receiver too. We're not. Bro, where are we going to get that? Where are we going to get that? Please tell me, enlighten me, Bot. Tell me where these fans are getting this delusion. I need to know.
I don't think it's delusion. I think the way you're looking at it is one way to look at it, but I think there's another way to look at it as well. And I'll frame it like this for you right here. The Buffalo Bills go into this offseason and they do get a Dobbs or they do get a Shaheed. And the only other thing they add around that is maybe a second, third round wide receiver and maybe another free agent or a trade wide receiver that you really don't know much about. How are you feeling about that going into the season? I guess the blunt way to put this, if Dobbs or Shaheed is the big aggressive move, does that satisfy you going into the season? Do you feel as though Brandon Beane did what he did not do last year, and he now is satisfying not only the roster but the fan base because, hey, we got our guy? Is that how you're feeling?
In a way, yes, because he was supposed to do something last year and did nothing. So if he goes out to get a Romeo Dobbs or he goes out to get a Rashid Shaheed and he pays up for them, he's done something. That's what we've been asking him to do, but now it becomes not good enough. That's the problem. Not good enough. I need it to be better. Okay, so where are you going to get this better? Because if you go for Alec Pierce, it's going to cost you. Are you willing to pay Alec Pierce, that was the receiver 2 in Indianapolis? Are you willing to pay him $20+ million a year? That's the question. I'm not saying for you to answer it now. Yeah. That's going to be the question. Or, okay, so if you're making a trade, you got to trade for Justin Jefferson. Okay, they're not just going to give you Justin Jefferson. So you're going to have to give up multiple first-round picks. And if that's the case, then okay. But that's not going to happen. You know they're not giving that up. So then where are you going to get this receiver one that we're clamoring for? You got to build it. You're going to have to get it through the draft. And then, okay, here's one.
Right. Exactly.
BTJ. Go get BTJ. I don't know what they're going to try to give up for BTJ, but just last year, BTJ was falling out of favor with the Jaguars. He wasn't even their receiver one. It ended up being the guy that they traded for in Jacoby Myers. That was the guy that they usually went to. So then it drives me nuts as to like the mind frame from Bills fans from the middle of the season to right now, because now we're picky choosy. Like we're bathing in cash. We're not. We don't have multiple first round picks that we can give up. Like we don't have that this year. We just have our regular picks. So like I don't understand where this what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what it is. I don't know where this is coming from Bills fans. We have to be honest with what we got. The money didn't go up as much as we thought it was going to go up. That's number one. Number two, what leverage do we have? Where's our leverage to go and trade for one of these guys? Where's the leverage? Do we have a bona fide guy that we can give up with this? Keon, you can have Keon. Ain't nobody trying to check for Keon right now.
We'll get to him in a second.
Greatest year. So where's our leverage? This is what I'm trying to get to Bills fans. Explain to me where our leverage is.
Well, you keep referring to this idea of saying it's not good enough. It's not good enough. That I can sympathize with, but it depends on how you do it. I think if they were this is why I think there's two ways to look at this. On the surface, Shaheed or Dobbs going and getting them, you're a fool if you're in this fan base and don't want to do that. Because as you said, the second they land in Buffalo is the second that they become probably the best receiver on this team, right? Alongside Khalil Shakir, and it would be probably no debate around after that. Yep. If Dobbs or Shaheed were to land in Buffalo tomorrow and ink a deal, they would be Josh Allen's top target in the wide receiver locker room. So you not wanting that wouldn't make sense to me. Here's where I can sympathize with the idea of that being Brandon Beane's magnum opus this offseason, where you go and get one of these guys and then you don't really address the positional group much further. Maybe a late round draft pick, and like I mentioned earlier, some ancillary characters via a trade or free agency, guys that are going to be role players, if that. And we've seen that happen time and time again at this wide receiver position. This is where it's not good enough. We've talked about this. The Bills were averaging just shy of 30 points per game a season ago without a wide receiver one, really without one close to it. We don't think unless they get, even if they got Justin Jefferson, we talked about this, This is why we would go with a Max Crosby trade before a Justin Jefferson trade, because is Justin Jefferson going to take you from 28 points a game to 40? Probably not. But what the Bills need to do, if they're not capable of pulling off that caliber of a trade, and we don't think they're going to be capable of doing that, what they're going to have to do is do what they've done as of late, but it needs to be better. Instead of the Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer, and then Khalil Shakir as your top guy, instead, if it was now Khalil Shakir, Dobbs or Shaheed, and then a first or second round draft pick at wide receiver, and then maybe an additional free agent or a trade that's not breaking the bank, but it's something that's going to be of contribution to this offense, not somebody that you're hoping becomes something, then I think it's different. It's all based on the blueprint to me. If the blueprint for Brandon Beane is Dobbs or Shaheed is immediately going to solve this offensive, is immediately going to solve the wide receiver problems without any further additions, I don't agree with that. But if it's part of a broader plan where you then continue to address it further in free agency or through trade, and in my opinion, in particular, in the draft, where I do feel like there is a deep class of wide receivers that even if you were to not trade up like many people want the Bills to do, the Bills can get a damn good wide receiver at 26. That's where the whole thing changes to me. Dobbs or Shaheed on their own, not moving the needle a ton for me. Dobbs or Shaheed alongside a top draft pick dedicated to the wide receiver, now I'm far more interested because the Bills don't have a bona fide wide receiver one going into the year yet again, if that's the case.
Right.
But they have a whole lot of good together that I think then becomes what they've tried to do as of late. But when it's Curtis Samuel and it's Amari Cooper on his way out the door and Brandon Cooks on his way out the door and, trying to figure out what Keon Coleman is and the vast amount of other characters that have played a slight role in this offense at wide receiver at some point or another, you need guys that are going to be continuous contributors. And I think that Dobbs or Shaheed would certainly be that. If you add then another top wide receiver in the draft, he doesn't need to be Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. But if he's of the level of a Dobbs, which I think we can all agree, Dobbs is what? A wide receiver 2 on most teams in the NFL. He'd be wide receiver 1 in Buffalo, but on most other teams, wide receiver 2. But if you can get that caliber of guy alongside, once again, another guy of that type of caliber, then I think we start to move the needle a little bit here. So it all depends on what Brandon Beane's plan is. The way I see it, though, I don't think it's going to go over very well if this is the big, huge chess move for Brandon Beane this offseason, because I just don't think that correlates as one. In my opinion.
I guess we're going off of somebody else's headline as Brandon Beane is going to be aggressive. And to me, if you're going to be aggressive, that means you're going all out. But
agreed. I'm glad you're bringing that up because then what does aggressive mean? Is getting Dobbs or Shaheed aggressive? I don't think so.
That's what I'm trying to get to. What is aggressive? And to Beane, aggressive means was he aggressive last year? No. So him making a move might.
Don't tell him that though. By the way, in his mind, apparently he's one of the more aggressive GMs there is, which boggles my mind. I don't understand that.
I was absolutely baffled by it. I was like, whoa, we've been watching you 9 years, brother. Where's this aggressiveness coming from? But anyway, I digress. So I get to the point where, and I'm with you. Everything you said was spot on, right? If we're going to be aggressive, and I'll use that for lack of a better word, we're going to be aggressive. I'd love to know what aggression looks like and how he plans to do this. So let's talk about aggression. And let's talk about if you're going to be aggressive, how aggressive can he get? What's an aggressive move that Beane can make? And I'm gonna put this on your table. If Beane went and got I've got 2 receivers, and I got a video clip coming out shortly that I'm gonna put out, so I might as well talk about it now. And ALD's got the conversation going now. I have a video set up for this. I'll probably post it tonight after this. Let's go to Washington Commanders. Okay. If I were to said the Brandon Beane traded for Terry McLaurin, is that aggressive enough for you?
No.
Okay, so this is my thing, right? You gave it some thought. This guy was a 5 season in a row 1,000-yard receiver. Just last year was only the year that he did not have 1,000 yards. He had like 500 yards, but he missed like five games or so. And you got the chat saying, no, this guy's he's a receiver one. But yet we have the nerve to say, nope, not good enough. Well, what the hell do y'all want? What do y'all want? I just mentioned Terry McLaurin. You're like, no, not good enough.
Yeah, but you got to factor in, though, he just signed a 3-year, $87 million deal. I mean, what are you paying for? You're not getting what I find to be elite production out of the wide receiver position for that type of money. I mean, you're talking 3 for 87.
What more do you want? This is my question to Bills fans. What more do you want? Okay, so
you're going to have to give this guy what, just shy of $30 million a year?
That's what you got to pay for if you want receiver one. That's the going rate. You're not going to get anybody for 15 mil. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. You want Romeo Doubs? Romeo Doubs is going to be 12 mil. 12 mil to 15 mil. You want a Terry McLaurin type player or a bona fide receiver one, you're going to be paid north of $20 million. That's just what it is. So if Terry McLaurin becomes available, yeah, go get him. Here's another one. Let me ask you. I'm going to put you on this one. DJ Moore.
I think I'd rather have McLaurin than Moore.
Okay. And those are two receivers that potentially are available. By the way, just to give you guys a heads up, there's a conversation that I'm going to be had that I put a clip together already. It's going to be coming out with those two receivers, right? Those are the two that I'm looking at saying, bro, if you're even thinking about, and this is not, I'm using you as the guinea pig right now. There are fans that immediately when I said DJ Moore, they said no. I said Terry McLaurin, they said no. So what do you want? What exactly are Bills fans wanting? Because you ain't going, it's not just going to sit there and just jump into your lap and say, oh, you can add that. Like top receivers, Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's a big dog in this game.
See, now you're going down a lane now where I feel like my brain goes to with aggressive. To me, McLaurin doesn't feel aggressive. Names like you're talking about, this is where I feel like the word aggression, this is where it gets interesting. When you say aggressive to me, that means Justin Jefferson, a name like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Aggressive to me doesn't feel like Terry McLaurin. And this isn't to say I wouldn't like it. That's the thing that I feel like that can't come across, because I could see that where it could be taken that way, where you wouldn't want it. Of course I'd want it. It's this idea though of, is this the big aggressive move? And I'm not even saying it has to be that. But when I keep hearing the Bills are going to be aggressive, and if that aggressive move is what we're talking about here, I don't find that to be checking the box of aggressive. Because to me, aggressive means you really went out of your comfort zone and did something you don't typically do.
And you're right about that. And I'm using these receivers because these are receivers that are available for trade, right? And I always hear, if said team allows receiver to hit free agency, they weren't considered a receiver one because you let that guy walk. So you clearly didn't consider them something. I hear a lot of people say that. So here's another receiver that I'm going to put into your forefront. We'll say Garrett Wilson.
See, this is where I like Garrett Wilson over a guy like McLaurin or DJ Moore. You got far more at your disposal in terms of years allowed to play for Buffalo. I mean, DJ Moore, I think he's been in the league since 2018, and McLaurin's going into what? Year 7?
Yeah,
Garrett
I think
Wilson,
like
that's a whole different ball game. You're getting a guy that, if it works out, I mean, he's going to be playing with Josh Allen maybe till the end of his prime. That to me would check the box. Great. The reason why I feel like the McLaurin one's a tough sell is because you're paying a lot for a guy that I don't think everybody would view in the upper echelon of wide receivers, yet you're paying close to that type of money for an older receiver. It wouldn't be a bad move for Buffalo in terms of the production they'd get out of him, I'm sure. But if we're checking off that box of getting the guy, the aggressive move, I think Garrett Wilson checks that box more than McLaurin does.
So you think the Jets are going to be giving up 25-year-old wide receiver one to? Well,
the Jets are giving up everybody else. I mean, I don't know why
they're not going to give up Garrett Wilson.
The Jets are giving up. The Jets have almost everybody for sale except for what seems to be Breece Hall, who they're going to franchise tag.
Right. So you're going to
this time last year, you would not have told me that they were going to just let Sauce Gardner go in the middle of the year. Bro, their best player.
I need to say this to delusional Bills fans, bro. We're not getting Garrett Wilson. They're not giving up.
You asked me if that would check the box.
What's that? Say it again.
No, but I'm saying you asked me if that would do it for me, and
sure.
it would.
100%, because I'm only appeasing to some of the folks talk about Wilson in the chat. It's like me saying to the Bills fans, hey, we're going to trade Christian Benford. Y'all be like, why would you move on from Christian Benford? Well, corners they don't come just like this. I'm not giving up Gil. And that's how we sound like when we're like, yo, Garrett Wilson. We love Garrett Wilson. They ain't giving up Garrett Wilson. Do you feel me? Like a Christian Benford. I'm gonna obviously
so Josh. So you think Waddle's off the table then
for the Miami Dolphins?
To come to Buffalo.
Well, I mean, that was already allegedly in conversation.
But that's the same. But that's the same thing, though, isn't it?
So then I'd ask the Bills fans, would Waddle be something that you'd be like, yo, get him to the squad? And I bet you they'd be like, no, he had some injury issues, so I'm not sure. I'm sure of it. I'll ask them right now. Hey, got me fired up for this thing. Are you guys good with Waddle? Because I was on board when they said, yo, Waddle wanted to come to Buffalo or they were going to trade for Waddle. I was like, whoa,
hell yeah,
craziness. Hell yeah. To me, that's a yes. Are the Dolphins ready to give him up? They claim no, but I mean, everyone's got a price. Now, in the division, if they're willing to do it within the season, different. But now they have a new head coach. They got new GM. It could not happen. And plus, being in the division, to give up that in the division, that'd be tough. But I say all of this to kind of put this in a bow here. It's the aggression. I don't know if Bean's aggression might be Romeo Doubs because he did barely anything last year. So to him, that would be aggressive. But if we really want him to be aggressive, he's got to go after the McLaurins, the DJ Moores. I think that realm of receiver is what you're going to get. And maybe Waddle might be in there. But like for the Justin Jeffersons of the world or who else was a conversation. I bet you if we mentioned the receiver out of Arizona, Harrison Jr., most folks would be like, no, I'm not.
I'd be in that camp. That one scares me. That one scares me. Oh, big time. He's proven nothing. At least I know what I'm getting with Waddle. I know what I'm getting with all the other ones. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., that's a massive risk because you're essentially taking on a guy that's proven nothing, and you're going to have to pay beyond what he's proven in order to make it happen. The whole thing here, though, is that, once again, it all depends on the approach. I would love to have Shaheed or Dobbs, but it can't be the only thing. That would feel like a Band-Aid to me. Aggressive, that move could still be... This is where the term aggressive, I really do feel like it's interesting in this scenario, because aggressive to me would also mean you do get Dobbs or Shaheed, then you also take a wide receiver at 26, or you take him in the second round. That to me, you're being aggressive because you are aggressively trying to attack the wide receiver position by adding multiple guys. Then it works to me. But if Dobbs or Shaheed are all of a sudden supposed to be Allen's Diggs, then that's where I'm like, you're not selling me on that. Right now, at least.
You know what? I think you're onto something, because there's aggression with making one big aggressive move, or it's multiple moves in that department. Now I'm with you, because if it's like, yo, I'm gonna make multiple. I'm gonna make it my business to fortify this receiver room. Yes. And he goes Dubs and then trades for somebody else. Then I'm with it.
Yes.
If ultimate aggression to me, if Brandon Beane wanted to be super aggressive, if I don't know if those were his words or Jeremy Fowler's just using those words as I don't know, just a conversation starter. If you really want to be aggressive, you want Bills on your side, you go after Romeo Doubs or you go after Rashid Shaheed. Not only are you drafting somebody, or you're trading for a Terry McLaurin or a DJ. So if you bring in a Terry McLaurin and you get Romeo Doubs and then you go and draft somebody right then and there, bro, you got something. Then I get your aggression. So I guess the question really becomes, what kind of aggression are we talking from Brandon Beane? Because I know Brandon Beane has soured a lot of Bills fans these last 12 months. He was big baller Beane to a whole lot of people. Now, bro, some people have soured away from him, and they're now saying, yo, I don't want to hear all that chat. All that chat is great. I want to see action. I want you to be about that action, boss. All this chatting you doing on Pat McAfee, that's cute. But I need work. I need to see something, because all that bravado you had on the WGR show and you've been defending your guys. I love it. But now all that chat is done. Ain't nobody trying to hear you talk no more. We want to see action. So this offseason, these very next few weeks are going to be absolutely crucial for Brandon Beane. I don't know how you feel in terms of Brandon Beane. Are you still number one fan of Brandon Beane? Or have you soured away on Brandon Beane? And the question goes for the chat. Are you, if you're grading Brandon, I don't want to say grade him. Your like for Brandon Beane right now. If you go 1 to 5, 5, I love him. 1, can't stand him. Where are you with Brandon Beane? I'll ask you the same.
Oh, it's taken a substantial hit. What has he done to get back in the good graces of the fan base? I don't think much. I think right now, Brandon Beane's at the lowest point of, if we're talking about this being a presidency and you're getting the approval rating, I would think during Brandon Beane's time in Buffalo, his approval rating right now is probably at the lowest it's been. And since everything that's happened this past year, what has happened to then make you feel any different about that? So what you're saying is 100% correct. This offseason is critical in terms of how I feel a lot of people are going to view Brandon Beane, right? And I feel like he's definitely cognizant of that. I noticed that in one of the recent press conferences, somebody flat out asked him, why do you think you were kept and Sean McDermott was fired? He dodged the question completely. Like this is still on the minds of many. Nothing's changed. I mean, McDermott just got fired less than a month ago. Now,
that's true. That's true. Go ahead.
I was going to save this for the next segment when we talk about what's kind of been talked about for between Brady and Beane here.
Yeah,
because it does feel like that alignment that they kept referring to in the introductory press conference seems to be in full effect already here. The one last thing I wanted to say on Shaheed, though, is Seattle going to let him walk? Because they got over $60 million in cap space. Like, they added him at the trade deadline, and not only was he, a contributor on offense, massive in special teams. Massive. He was the reason why they ended up getting the 1 seed. He had that kick return against the Rams in week 16 that really paved the way for them to get the 1 seed, which went a long way towards them getting to and winning the Super Bowl. I know his name's out there and he's a free agent. Hell, I wanted him when he was available at the trade deadline. I was beyond bummed that we didn't get him and the Seahawks did. When I hear his name, I don't know why Seattle would let him go. They got, in terms of a Super Bowl champion, you could not be in a better spot than the Seattle Seahawks are currently in right now. And I feel like they're going to be willing to pay him or probably match what everybody else is willing to do. They got the money to do it.
And this is why I get so annoyed with Bills fans when we want to be aggressive. We don't even have the money to be aggressive. We don't have the money that Seattle has. We don't have the money that the Raiders have. We don't have the money that some of these top teams that had great records got money. The Patriots have money, for crying out loud.
That's the problem.
We don't have the money to go toe to toe. So I'm more trying to be realistic and not have these pipe dreams of all these guys we can get. Now, if Brandon Beane, I think you agree with me, if Brandon Beane can surprise us and we go out and we go balls to the wall and we really are aggressive and we get big time names, kudos to him. He'll have me back on board. Right now, I was asking the chat right now where you see Brandon Beane between a 1 and a 5. I'm with you guys. At one point, you could have put me at a 4.5 to a 5 with Brandon Beane. That was my guy. I like Brandon Beane. I like how he's a straight shooter. I like how he just keeps it a buck and keeps it pushing. And he will admit his faults. When he's screwed up on a player, he'll move on from the player and try to right his wrongs, right? Kyer Elam didn't quite work out. You're out of here, right? Now, as of right now, if I'm grading him from 1 to 5 based on how high am I on him right now? I'm at a 3, 2.5 to 3. I like the 2.5. I'm gonna put him on a 2.5 because I need to see more from what he does. Meaning, you need to draft well. Your draft last year was solid. I like what we have. We still need to see more, but from what I saw, I liked what we got. Right? Free agency. All right, we got a little money now. We got some things that we're freeing up. You're gonna restructure a few guys. There's ways and exercises that we've done to create some cap. So now I'm curious to see what we got. So right now, for me, Brandon Beane, he hasn't fallen all the way out of favor, but I'm at a 2.5 to 3 with him when it comes to like how high am I? And this is an offseason that he's gonna have to show me to get me back up to a 4.5 to 5. And if he can do it, I'm back on. But right now, bro, I'm watching, bro. I'm not getting overhyped by anything these guys are talking about. Whoa, I ain't getting hyped on that. Let me see what you got. Let me see what you're gonna bring to the table, and we'll go from there. Now, I do want to play this clip real quick because it stays on the receiver end. And Bot, I want your thoughts on this. So let me get this video queued up. And I'm curious as to what the chat will think of this as well. Please let me know. We had a conversation. I guess there was a conversation being had with Bills head coach Joe Brady, and the topic of receiver came up, and I guess the frustrations that fans have had with the receiver room. And here's Joe Brady's response to said questions.
Just like our systems in place in the building, position groups, that's something after every season that we look at and we're like, all right, what do we have to do differently? Who do we have? What are some different pieces that we can use? And look, there's a lot that obviously goes into it, right? It's, when your quarterback's making as much money as he is, it's hard to, you're going to have to build through the draft. You're going to have to do a lot of those things, but we take a lot of pride of figuring out what we have in the rooms and making it work. And I had a lot of, I had a lot of faith in the receiver group last year. And look, I didn't think they played to the point I'm getting a lot of the questions about, but I'm excited about the group that we have returning, and I know we're going to always look to find ways to improve in all the position groups. But I'm a receiver at heart, so I'm always going to want wideouts. It's natural.
All right.
Not a good sequence. Just not a good sequence at all. At all.
Chat, talk to me. Your thoughts on Joe Brady claiming that, hey, I don't see what everybody making a big deal as a receiver room, man. I thought they were pretty cool. I mean, we did some good things, man. Two things. That's number one. And number two, I know this has been going around like crazy. I never really understood why people are so heavily holding on to this one thing, but we've heard it enough.
You don't?
You'll have to catch me back on board here. And the comment of our quarterback's making a lot of money, man. He's making a lot of money. So
that's another one we got to talk about. Yeah,
we're never gonna get into that one.
Let's start though with that wide receiver comment where he essentially said, sir, it's not as bad as I didn't think it was as bad as the questions I'm getting asked here.
Yes.
The reason why people are so hung up on that, I feel like, because it feels like it's insulting our intelligence.
Facts.
Did we not watch the same thing? And the thing of it is we know that he knows. So why is it being said? Here is the receiving stats last year for Buffalo. Tight ends aside. Okay. Khalil Shakir leads the way with 719 yards. Leads the way. After that, it's Keon Coleman with a dash above 400 yards, who is healthy scratched multiple times, and Josh Palmer with 303 yards. That was your wide receiver room last year leading the way. So to pretend that it's absurd to question that output a season ago makes absolutely no sense. This is why people are looking at that and saying, I feel like the reason why people are concerned with it, Rico, because it seems as though it's a lot of what the previous regime, or it feels like it's a lot of the same. This is what we heard last year. Because in a roundabout way, is that not kind of what Brandon Beane said to Jeremy and Joe a year ago? In a roundabout way, is that not exactly what he kind of said? In what Joe Brady just said, it kind of tells me, like, guys, like, it really wasn't that bad. We'll address it. We got to address all positions, but, like, it wasn't that bad. We'll get better. That doesn't tell me, Rico, aggression is in the cards to fix a problem, because it doesn't seem like there is a problem according to the powers that be.
I find that absolutely fascinating that he was, and it was just the face. The face is what did it for me when I got to get back to it. Listen to this.
A lot of pride of figuring out what we have in the rooms and making it work. And I had a lot of I had a lot of faith in the receiver group last year. And look, I didn't think they played to the point I'm.
I didn't think.
Well, you know what? Here's what he's trying to do, and this is what I feel like I'm getting from this. He's trying to toe the line between supporting his guys, and I feel like he's trying to make that transition from OC to head coach.
Yes,
we're like, you're the guy's guy.
Because you can't say too much and
right,
too harsh.
But that's gone now. You're no longer their buddy. Like, the OC can get away with being the buddy. You know what I mean? Like, I remember back when we were interviewing some players years ago, and they all loved Ken Dorsey, right?
Yep.
Like buddies with Ken Dorsey or whatever. When Joe Brady was the quarterback's coach, because let's not forget that he wasn't even the OC for a significant period of time before he became it. Buddies with these guys, buddy. Now you're in a position where you're being asked the tough questions that you've never been asked before, but you've been buddies with this guy forever. I get that to some extent. What do you want him to sit there and bash the wide receiver room? Hey, man, yeah, it was awful. It was awful. And no, I'm not saying that. I understand saying what he said. I got a lot of faith in our guys. I get all that. But what he did not have to say was, I don't think it was as bad as you got. Like that. Just leave that one out. Leave that out.
Absolutely. I'm totally with you. And here's the thing. You alluded to it, and that's great. You're not an offensive coordinator anymore. You're not the buddy. You're now the head coach of the entire team. So if a department wasn't as good as it should have been, this is your time to address it. You don't have to belittle anybody, but you can certainly say, hey, I understand where Bills Mafia had an issue with that receiver room. Could we have been better? Absolutely. We're going to try to address that room so we can make it as strong as possible and still be competitive with the guys that we still have on the roster. I believe a lot of these guys, but I know that we can make this department a much better department. What's wrong with that? That now tells you two things. That you've acknowledged that there's a problem in the receiver room, and that, oh, by the way, guys on the team, bro, ain't nothing going to be sweet. You're going to have to earn your keep. You're going to have to earn your way. Oh, I don't see there was any problems with the receiver room. I don't know why everybody's got any issues with it. Are you kidding me? And you said it. Don't insult our intelligence. Don't insult our intelligence, bro. We see, and we saw what we saw. Our leading receiver was Khalil Shakir, and half his damn receptions were off of screen passes. Knock it off. Cut it all the way out. So unless he's just trying to play coy, but that's not the way you play coy. Be straight up and be straight to your peoples and tell them, hey man, the receiver move could have been better. It's going to be my job to make sure I have it. Now I have it on a grander scale. My guy Pete Carmichael is going to be holding it down, and we're gonna make sure that we get the best receivers possible via draft, via trade, whatever the case is. I'm going to lament what my GM is saying. We are going to be aggressive. We're going to be looking to build this room up. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing. Hell, if I'm a player on the squad, that tells me my head coach is ready to get busy. All right, then I'm going to get busy too. Golly, that annoyed the heck out of me, man. So listen, if this is the type of press conferences we're going to get from my man Joe Brady, boy, we're going to be on his ass all year. And I'm not going to let up. I don't care, yo. They got rid of our guy. McDermott. You know what I'm saying? McDermott, although was coy and very, but he shot you straight, man. If the DB room wasn't playing as best as it could, he'd say it. Yo, we could be better. We had some things we could have worked on. Blase, and he got the point out. But at least we knew that he wouldn't play in our face like that. Joe Brady don't play in our face. That boy playing in our face with that comment, man. No, we on you. We on you, bro. All year long. You ain't gonna get around with these cookie cutter nonsense, bro. We gonna be on your ass. Anyway.
Well, there's been some references to these wide receivers that leave you scratching your head a little bit. Like the continuous conversation around Keon Coleman, as if we didn't watch what just happened in 2025 happen as well,
right,
is awfully interesting to me too. I mean, once again, I understand going to bat for your guys, but Joe Brady continuously doubling down here. The best thing that ever happened to Keon Coleman was me becoming the head coach. It leaves me to wonder, well, you were the OC. So I just don't quite understand why he was not at least a bit better than what he was. I understand you got time to craft him into Randy Moss. Okay. But we're talking about a guy that as of right now has been a complete whiff with their first draft pick of that draft. And yet you hear that the best thing that's ever happened to Keon Coleman was me becoming the head coach. That's great. Once again, I understand going to bat for your guys. I also understand having to do a little bit more damage control here because Keon Coleman's name was name dropped at the press conference with Terry Pagula and Brandon Beane. I get that. But then again, it's like, I just don't quite understand what that means because you were the OC. And I got to imagine, maturity issues aside, you would have had some control in him being better than what he's been. And Brandon Beane's also been alluding to the Keon Coleman situation too, where he's talking about how great the camp was last year, how great the week one game was last year. And it's just, he's got some maturity issues. Like, why are we referencing last year's camp? That meant nothing in the grand scheme of the regular season. We kept hearing, Deion Dawkins comes out and says, look out, NFL. There's a new Keon Coleman in town, essentially. You watch him week one, almost single-handedly propels the Bills' offense late in the game against the Ravens to pull off that miraculous comeback. He's nowhere to be found the rest of the year. And I'm supposed to believe that that's simply because of maturity issues. I feel like I'm also trying to be sold right now on this idea that Keon Coleman's all of a sudden going to have this massive resurgence. And this is coming from somebody who would love to see it. I mean, I think we would all love to see it. But when I'm taking Joe Brady's comments and him saying, I don't think it was as bad as we thought it was last year. And then I'm also hearing this constant propping up of Keon Coleman. Once again, it goes to this idea of, did we not watch the same thing last year? I get you're trying to do the damage control with Keon Coleman. He's on a rookie contract. He's probably not going anywhere. You're going to say what you have to say. Plus, you're still hoping there's something there. But when you're kind of leaning on the idea of what his training camp was last year and what his week 1 game was last year, like, I'm going to need more than that for you to sell me on this idea that he's going to become the next guy for Josh Allen.
I am absolutely with you right now. And you know what, though? And you said it. We're rooting for Keon Coleman. If Keon Coleman comes out and has a nasty year and you know what, whatever was put behind him is put behind him and all is good, I'll take that. I know his agent said, Keon doesn't take any of that stuff personally. He's already looking on to the new year and he doesn't take it personally. The press conference didn't bother him. He was more like, you know what? It is what it is. I got to work hard. I got to work harder. Fine. I love that. And I'm willing to give the grace to allow him to go that. Like, he's going into his 3rd year. Usually that 3rd year tells you a whole lot and we'll know. So to move on from him so soon, I'm not quite with that yet. I think there's so much more to tap in. But to tell us, you know what I'm saying? I'm pounding the table for my guy. I know you were an offensive coordinator, but you do have some say where you can say, okay, healthy scratch. I get it. You want to punish him, but like, fam, let's find a way to get my guy on there since I'm pounding the table for him. But that boy missed 3 games, 1 due to suspension and 2 to being a healthy scratch. You have a lot to do with that. You have some say in that. And the fact of the matter is, you didn't. So what exactly is he going to give us that he wasn't capable of giving us under your control, under your offense last year? And all of a sudden we're supposed to be trusting your word that we're going to see a better kid. Get out of here with that. I ain't trying to see that. So listen, we are paying close attention to what that receiver room is going to be looking like based on what you just said in that interview, and plus what your GM said about being aggressive and what he said earlier. Last point for me when it comes to this. He's going to have to watch his Joe Brady, I'm specifically referring to, is going to have to watch his words when he's having these little interviews, because these reporters they know how to get certain questions to ask and get you to kind of get some stuff, and they'll hang off every word and then becomes headline. And then it gives it to content creators like ourselves to talk about it. So he'll learn to certain things he's got to say and what he can't say or how he's going to say it. So this is going to be a learning experience for my guy, Joe Brady. There's going to be a lot. It's first year head coach. But boy, pressure's on because you got a franchise quarterback. There's not much of a window left. He's going to be pushing 30. We got 7 years to make something happen, baby. And I don't even know if you make it to 7 years unless you get one. So Joe Brady, how long would you say Joe Brady's got? 3 years to get this thing done? If you don't get one?
See, that's the thing with Pagula. I can't put a number on this. It would shock me 0 if he rides out the length of Josh Allen's career. It would shock me 0 because they're going to be good. This is the thing. If they continue to do what McDermott did, what are you going to do? Do this again? Fire Brady? And like by that time, you've run out of chances. Yep. So I guarantee you, if you were to ask me what's more likely, when Josh Allen retires, Joe Brady's still the head coach or not the head coach, I would say it's significantly more likely that he is still the head coach. So, in talking about this wide receiver stuff, though, this is what leaves me interested about the coaching position itself and what is going to change between Joe Brady as the OC and Joe Brady as the head coach in terms of the offense. Richie Fresh referring to what I'm kind of getting at. Richie's saying, did Joe Brady have a say? We all know McDermott being clashed. Was there a power struggle? I keep hearing things from Joe Brady that lead me to believe that there's no other conclusion, in my opinion, you can draw. The couple of tidbits I've heard makes it seem like he was handcuffed to some degree. The Keon Coleman point is one of them. The best thing that's ever happened to Keon Coleman is me becoming the head coach. Well, why is that? Because you were in charge of the offense, so you would think that not much would change. It was also what he said about Khalil Shakir. He said, quote, "There's really not a lot of things Khalil can't do. as we watch cut-ups, as we go through things and put it all together, there's definitely ways to get the ball in his hands in different ways. And he was alluding to getting Khalil Shakir the ball beyond the short game. Once again, my question would be, well, why haven't we seen that? Where has that been? I'll ask you, Rico, because I find myself, the more I hear Joe Brady talk and stuff like this comes up, the more I can't help but wonder, what was it really like coaching this offense under Sean McDermott? Because one of the biggest things I look forward to finding out this year is how much was at fault of Sean McDermott? And also, how much was Sean McDermott doing well that we're going to miss? And I'm wondering right now, how much was the offense set back because McDermott was overriding things that we didn't know about? Because if that isn't the case, then why wasn't Khalil Shakir involved in the long game? And why wasn't Keon Coleman a far bigger factor than he has been? I ask you, Rico, what do you make of this? Because what I hear from Joe Brady at times makes me wonder either A, he was handcuffed and there wasn't anything he could do under McDermott, or I feel like I'm kind of being sold a bill of goods here because why hadn't it been done previously if you weren't handcuffed?
That's a great question. Was there a power struggle between McDermott and Mr. Brady? Let's go back, though. We got to go back. How many offensive coordinators have we had under Sean McDermott? Rico Dennison, 1. Excuse me, I was going to say Babbage. Dable, 2.
Dennison, Dorsey, and then Brady. And then now, so this will be the 5th for Josh Allen, right?
Yes. And
no.
4th offensive
was Dable year 1 for Allen? He was.
It was year 1. Rico Dennison was with Tyrod.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but under McDermott, there's been 4 offensive coordinators. Rico Dennison was out after year 1, gone. Okay, that was so quick and out of there. It was just like a project. I don't know what the hell that was. Dable, it looked like it was starting off to be great, and then it turns out there was some kind of something between the two of them. Okay. Then here comes our guy, Mr. Why am I drawing a blank?
Ken Dorsey? Brian Dable?
Ken Dorsey comes in after Dable, and it seems to be going well until it's not. Then there was philosophical differences, obviously, between Dable, because Dable wanted to air things out. My man wanted to run the ball and control more. Okay, now I got my puppet in Dorsey. But then Dorsey just ended up not getting the job done. He was too predictable. We knew what was happening. Okay, let's bring in the young quarterback coach and Brady. So Brady did more of what McDermott wanted, because he was able to see that's what worked that didn't work with Ken Dorsey. So I got to do something that's going to make my head coach happy. And it worked, because we ripped off 6 games in a row of putting up 30 plus points, and it was working. There was balanced. It was everything that it's everything that McDermott wanted. So then going to fast forward into just like this past year, I don't know if there was any friction, because everything that was being done was what has been working. So could he have wanted to change things up? And McDermott said, no, keep doing what I told you to do. I can't see that happening. If you have a way to put up 30 points a game, I could care less. As long as there's balance, do what you need to do. So creativity had everything to do with Joe Brady. So why did you only relegate Khalil Shakir just to the slot? I heard him say, he could play outside, he can play inside, we never saw any of that. The first year, rookie year under Ken Dorsey, I saw multiple routes of Khalil Shakir getting downfield. And then he gets relegated to. So that is a lot of Joe Brady and not a whole lot of friction between. I don't think Sean McDermott gave a rat's ass how they as long as you put points on the board and run the football and kind of control the things, do what you need to do. I'll handle this over here. So that's all on Brady. I don't want Brady saying, they're saying I was handcuffed and I was supposed to do. Nah, that's cap. That's your offense. Run it the way you see fit. And if you find that you can move Keon over here and move Khalil over here and do things around, fine. But we never got that. There was creativity, but everyone played in their proper positions, and that was it. So did they buck heads? I don't think they did. I think this was more what you see is what you get. It was the same kind of thing when he was in Carolina. It was.
So then the question is, why didn't Joe Brady do it prior then?
That is the $1 million question. Why couldn't you?
Well,
why didn't you?
And here's where I wonder, and here's the beauty of this, folks. We're going to find out. I mean, this is the beauty of it. These guys can say whatever they want. Once again, our eyes don't lie. You can tell me the wide receiver room wasn't as bad as it was last year. My eyes aren't going to lie to me. And I just, even if you didn't watch a game, you could, this is the one scenario where you could go to the box score and say, I don't really know if that's accurate. Right. So we're going to find out. And the thing is, Joe Brady, the more he says stuff like this, the more it's going to need to be backed up. This is where, like, if I was his PR guy, it'd be a little less, I'd be laying it on a little less thick, if that makes sense. Because the more you say, the more you are going to have to live up to, right? If you are my kid, so say Zoe, she in a fantasy world 10 years from now, Zoe's not doing great in math, let's say. And I'm like, you know what, Zoe, if you get 100 on your next math test, I'm going to get you a pony. I'm going to get you I'm going to get you a princess crown, all this stuff. Because I'm like, she's not going to get 100 on this math test. She comes home and sure as hell, she slaps that test right down on the kitchen table. And there's 100 on it. Well, I overpromised a little bit, and now I'm going to be held to that, right? So I'm being told now that Keon Coleman, what's my takeaway from what he said about the best thing that's ever happened to Keon Coleman is me becoming the head coach. My takeaway as a fan is, well, that can only mean we're about to get the best version of Keon Coleman we've ever seen. When you're talking about the utilization of Khalil Shakir here, my only takeaway can be, man, we're going to see Khalil Shakir in a role that we didn't even think he was capable of achieving, right? So this is where, however, once again, we're going to find out either way. Where I do feel like, though, he might be saying this because it's 100% accurate is because I look at the track record for McDermott. As much as I like McDermott, as much as you like McDermott, I can't ignore the ample rumors that indicated that McDermott had friction with a lot of his staff. It did not end well with Leslie Frazier. It did not end well with Brian Dable. I feel like it probably didn't end all that well with Ken Dorsey. You fired him in the middle of the season. We don't see much of that in Buffalo anymore, right? Did I say Brian Dable already? I did, right? Yep. So I have to be willing to give credence to the idea that there might have been friction with Joe Brady that we weren't privy to. And I think you made a point that I think goes a long way in this. Joe Brady was the young quarterback coach that was promoted to OC in the middle of a season. Yep. If there's ever going to be a guy that says, yes, coach, that's what I'll do. Yes, coach, it would be him. It would be the young guy who takes over with a world-class quarterback and doesn't want to screw the opportunity up. I don't know right now which way it is. I don't know if Joe Brady is selling us on a whole lot that he's going to have to back up, or he's selling us on this because, hey, like, this stuff is true and I just wasn't able to do it with McDermott. There's a possibility that that is true. Once again, folks, we're going to find out.
Well, and here's another thing too, right? I think we can all agree that what we saw out of McDermott year 1 to what we saw out of McDermott year 6 to 9, completely different coach. He was not as conservative. He was not as bottled up. He was relaxing a lot more. So year 6 to 9, McDermott wasn't a very stringent, this is what you're going to do and you're going to do it like this. And I don't think it was like that. I think he was, hey, you do what you got to do on that side of the football. As long as you give me 30 points and you balance that thing, I don't care how you do it. Just make it work. Secondly, when you look at the player grades on coaches and so on and so, bro, the Bills graded Coach A.
I know.
So if the players love the coach, I'm not saying that the player relationship coach is different from coach to coach because it's different. But at the same time, if the players like you, the rest of the building likes you. And this guy's a class act. So I can't see him as being the militant and this is how you're going to run it. That's on Brady. So Brady's open up his mouth. He's shooting his mouth like, yo, you're going to get the best version of bro. If you keep talking like that, we're going to be sitting here going, show us. Let me see what you got. If I see the first 6 games and I see Keon Coleman with 9 receptions for 75 yards and a tutty, bro, where's that utilization? That utilization is some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not buying it. So, but you keep opening your mouth up, we're gonna keep waiting for what you're gonna give us. So right now, there's two things hanging right now: is aggression to get yourselves a receiver, and you're gonna see the best version of Keon Coleman or whatever the heck he said. So those are two things I'm hanging off of because my man's is talking too much. They beaking at the mouth. So
and Khalil Shakir is about to become a vertical threat as well. You got to keep that in mind.
So there, we're gonna see a lot more Khalil Shakir. So what are we transforming this offense completely now? And that's another thing. So are we done with mesh offense? Are we now going to be a vertical offense? Now, keep in mind, we have now Pete Carmichael that's in the building right now. And Pete Carmichael's offense, it's not his offense, but they've worked together. So I wonder if there's going to be some tweaks in there where, hey, man, let's go back to the old days when we used to be able to run this. Who knows? So maybe we'll see a lot more vertical because Carmichael's offense is a lot more vertical. So based on the research I was doing, and he's been an offensive coordinator forever, I don't know how he was able to stay as a coordinator with the Saints for that many years, which with all these different regimes. Incredible. So maybe we'll see a much more vertical line of offense with Carmichael as the offensive coordinator. But guess who's still calling plays? Joe Brady. So we're all watching. We're all going to be watching because you're giving us the information. So now we're going to see if this information is going to be applied. That will be a very interesting offseason and going into the season.
Now, the guy leading all of this, of course, is the legend, 17, Josh Allen. But for as great as he is, Rico, unfortunately, it seems to be a hindrance on the team because of how much money he's making. This is continuously alluded to, where it's difficult for the Bills to be better than what they are because of how much money the quarterback is making. You played that clip earlier. If you want to cue it up again to give us an idea of what Joe Brady said in terms of building around Josh Allen with the amount of money that Josh Allen is making. Because this is a point Joe Brady made, but this is a point that Brandon Beane has made many times. And it's something I want to discuss because I feel like, and this has gotten some traction throughout the week. I know Jeremy and Joe nailed this one, really kind of sent it into the stratosphere and really calling Joe Brady out on this because it does feel as though this is being relayed from Beane to Brady. We go back to the alignment and we were wondering what alignment meant. Well, this could be interpreted as alignment, but I'm wondering, we're talking about one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever do it here. And it's being viewed as a crutch that you have to pay him for his services in the likes in which he's earned the amount of money he has. Josh Allen's contract hasn't even hit this team the way it's going to inevitably at some point. And I don't even think it's going to hit this year, even though he's due to have a $56 million cap hit. I'd be stunned if we don't see another restructuring here with Josh Allen. It's the only way I feel like you're going to be able to do anything of note this offseason. You got to kick that can down the road. And we talked about this ad nauseum. I mean, they got to kick this can to the point at which when you finally end up getting back to that can, you're not even going to be able to bend down and pick it up because you're going to be so completely just disheveled, right? But that's what I want to be. I want the road back to that can to be a glorious one on a yellow brick road. And when I can't bend over and pick that can up, I can at least say, I can at least look back on the road that led me to the can and say, yeah, it was a road well traveled. It was worth traveling, right? But this idea that Josh Allen's contract is hindering this team from going to the next level. I watched the LA Rams win a Super Bowl doing the F them pick strategy, going after Matt Stafford. They had a bad year after that and completely bounced back and became what could be the best team in the NFL outside of the Seattle Seahawks. The Kansas City Chiefs signed Patrick Mahomes to a $500 million contract, which was unheard of at the time in which he signed it. They got rid of Tyreek Hill, and they would wind up going to more Super Bowls than they had gone to with him. They've had iterations of that team that were both offensively dominant and defensively dominant. Yet here's Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, and the excuse seems to be, or at least a crutch of some sort seems to be, it's very difficult to do when you are paying your quarterback. Yet we've seen other examples of teams being able to do this. So I look to you here. What do you make of this? Because in my opinion, it gives me all the more reason to get myself in cap hell years from now. I just would not be concerned about what my books look like in the next couple of years here. Like, it would almost be like, Rico, if I went to the doctor and the doctor told me that I have celiac disease, right? I'm allergic to gluten. And let's say that I go to the doctor and the doctor told me, hey, we just found this new discovery and celiac disease is terminal. You got 3 years left. That's it. 3 years max. You think I'm going to give a damn about the amount of money I got in my bank account, Rico? Because I know when that 3 years comes to pass, I can't take it with me. And you can't take Josh Allen with you when he hangs the cleats up. So I wouldn't give a damn about it. And the last thing I'd be doing is using it as an excuse as to why you can't capitalize on having that guy on the team right now. So what do you make of that, Rico?
Here's what I make of it. I think it's a bunch of crock, okay? Where the average fan now is not your typical average fan. And what I mean by that is we're a lot more educated. There's all these money grab opportunities for the NFL to make their money. And how they do it is they have okay, you can go into the all 22. Oh, by the way, you want to know all 22, you're going to have to pay for that. Okay. So we are smarter now. I mean, one can say we are smarter because we educate ourselves with Google, AI, all that nonsense, and we're watching film. So we're seeing things that these guys talk about constantly. So the things that you think you can throw out to us, we're already on it. We're on top of that. We're watching the cap a lot. There's guys that are, I mean, I'll give some credit to Greg Thompson. Greg Thompson's solid at cap. I watched some of the stuff.
God, he's a guru at it.
He's fantastic. So he's telling.
It's a great point you're making, right? Because like Greg's a fan, yet he's got the books dialed down. You can't get by on anybody anymore. You can't not do that.
He's on it. So when we listen to it, be like, oh snap. So there is a possibility. And now there's all these tools to allow us to jump in and do all this stuff. Bro, gone are the days where you say, well, Josh Allen's contract was holding. Get the F out of here, number one. All right, so Josh Allen's cap hit was $36 million. By the way, shout out to my man, Kevin Syracuse. He put the info together. $36 million was his cap hit this year. All right. You want to know where the money's gone? The money went to Von Miller.
Exactly.
Dead cap hit of $15.4 million. There's where the money's going. All right. DaQuan Jones, 9.4. Curtis Samuel, 9.1. Josh Palmer, this year, 4.3. Next year, 11.75. Larry Ogunjobi, 3.1. Fam, you want to know where the money's at? There it is. That's your dead cap money. You want to talk about, you don't give us the excuse of using Josh Allen's good. Bro, like my man Bot said, yo, kick that sucker down the road, right? I ain't trying to hear all that, but there are some contracts that are head scratchers. Throw in the guy that we like a lot, Dawson Knox, $14.6 million cap hit. That brings the team to 55.9 dead cap money, my G. So when it's all said and done, I don't want to hear about no Josh Allen this and Josh Allen that. No, it's the Von Millers, it's all these useless contracts that you gave out to people that you got nothing for. So don't try to bring my quarterback up and talk about, oh, it's his. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's the bad contracts that you gave out. And I only named a few. I'm sure there's some contracts right now that you can be like, yo, remember that dude? Because right now we're about to pay Josh Palmer $11.75. That's
the thing. I mean, even as of late, just alone as of late, Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer, and Von Miller is a significant reason as to why you're in a spot that you're in right now.
Bingo.
You know, our guy Jeremy White, I think he put it perfectly. He said Josh Allen's the best contract you have. And that couldn't be more accurate. It's a privilege to pay a guy $330 million at the quarterback position and feel good about it. Granted, there's some teams that have done this, Miami, et cetera, where you were a victim of next man up. The Bills are far from that. The Bills are the ones setting the market and sleeping soundly at night knowing that they got their guy, right? I don't understand why you would look at that as a negative. Is it an obstacle? I mean, of course it is. It obviously is an obstacle. I'm not saying it's easy to work around having to pay that amount of money to one singular guy, right? But I'm looking at Jalen Hurts, for instance. Jalen Hurts signed a 5-year, $255 million deal back in 2023. And they went to a Super Bowl and were a play away from winning it. And then went to another one and absolutely dominated the modern day dynasty. And you want to know what's crazy about that? Jalen Hurts might not even be the 5th best player on that team. I mean, you go and break down the Philly roster from offense to defense all the way through. You're not saying Jalen Hurts number 1. I'll just say that. You'll get to him eventually. You're not uttering Jalen Hurts' name, whereas in Buffalo, Josh Allen, he is Buffalo. You cannot say the word Buffalo without following it up with something about Josh Allen. So I'm watching the Eagles, the Rams, the Chiefs. To your point, you could maybe say this back in 1992 when I'd have to go to the local library and rent a book on how to figure out how the salary cap works.
Facts.
But I got a Twitter account now. And I just cannot buy the idea that Josh Allen is the one hindering this team from success when he's the only reason they're successful to begin with.
Yeah, and this is the thing. We're smarter now, and the NFL has made us that way. They've made us that way. We've got the tools that are out there showing us how and when and what the cap hit means, what the dead cap. What does the dead cap? Or what does it have? What does it do to the team when you cut the guy before June 1st? What does it do after June 1st? All the tools are there. So you're telling me 36 mil cap hit was hindering you, bro?
That's the thing. Like, it hasn't even factored in yet.
Dead cap? Get out of here. We just got off the books for Stephon Diggs and he had 30 mil. I don't want to hear nothing about that. What were you going to say?
I was just going to add to your point. Like, his money hasn't even factored in yet. He's due to make the most amount he's ever made this year, but that's without what I find to be an inevitable contract restructuring coming. Josh Allen wants to win more than anybody I've ever seen. He's going to wait for his payday. He knows he's going to get it. Plus, Josh Allen's on what? 75 commercials? I feel like he's fine right now financially until he winds up getting the money due to him at the end of the day. It's going to come to him, right? It's going to come. He wants to win. He wants to win, and he's going to win, or at least put themselves in position to win by helping out the team as much as he can, right? So, once again, the other thing that he spoke on in conjunction with this was building through the draft. Everybody wants to build through the draft. I get that. It's a luck. You want to know who wants to build through the draft? The Jets, the Raiders, right? The Panthers. Everybody wants to build through the draft, obviously. But when I'm thinking about exclusively building up my team, I don't think about building through the draft when my Hall of Fame bound quarterback's going into year 9. I could give a damn about the draft. I could give a damn about the draft because if I'm looking at the draft being my sole outlet for success, well, I'm in a real world of hurt here. Because unless that guy or guys that I'm drafting immediately become superstars the year they're drafted, I continuously check one more year off of Josh Allen's box until eventually, whenever these guys become what I hope they would become, I'm out of time. I'm all about draft. Like, for instance, this year, draft a wide receiver. I would love it. I would love it. But this idea of building through the draft and that being your primary road to success, that's what teams that are rebuilding do. The Rams didn't do that. I know the Eagles have had some incredible draft picks, but they didn't draft A.J. Brown. They didn't draft Saquon Barkley, right? So you just have got to find a way to capitalize on right now. And I feel like they're approaching the situation with Josh Allen as if they have him forever. And it becomes more and more evident every year when we sit here this time of year. And remember when we were sitting down with Deion Dawkins? This was like 2 years ago, and it hit him how many years he'd been in the league. Yep. And now he's going into year 10, decade in the league.
Crazy.
Right? Like, dude, this is not, the window is not getting any wider. It would be the most blunt way to put this.
That's exactly it. And this is why you got to strike now. And that's why I was saying when I asked you earlier, how many years do you think Brady's got? 3? Because he's got to get it done. Like this window, I mean, we talk about this window being shut. I certainly don't believe that the window's any closer to being closed because Josh Allen's still there and he's still within that prime. He's still in his prime, right? He's getting up there, but he's still in his prime. You got to get it done. At the end of the day, you got to get it done, and this is the time to do it. So if you're going to go be aggressive and go all out, you've got a small window to do it. We're not here forever. So if you got to do what you got to do, go ahead and do it. The Rams are just fine, and they mortgaged a whole lot. And we thought, oh, these guys are dead for years. Bro, they're well within strike every year. They had that one slight down year, and it's been up since. Do what must be done. And I don't want to hear nothing about no Josh Allen contract. Extend, push that can down the road. Do whatever needs to be done and go from there. By the way, his cap hit is $56 million right now. Mm-hmm. And once they convert and move some things around, it goes out to 44. That's where you're getting that $12 million savings.
Right. And I'm hearing right now, there's rumors that Malik Willis might get $30 million in free agency. Okay. Just keep that in mind.
Buddy. Isn't that something? And I like Malik Willis. I do.
Me too. But let's talk about the fact that you're getting Josh Allen for $14 million more. I mean, come on. So I don't want to hear it.
Yo, that's nasty work. When you say it like that, that's nasty work. And this is where there's a conversation being had right now. Where does it stop? Where does it stop where you stop giving quarterbacks all this ridiculous money about Dak Prescott making $60 million a year? Insane to me, right? Guys like that there comes a point where enough. A quarterback is, you can pay all these guys all this money to these guys. Is Dak? You can never say never, but how close is Dak Prescott to getting the Dallas Cowboys a Super Bowl? I don't know.
He's another one that I thought he was phenomenal last year. He's another one that I feel like is a victim of really poor management over there.
Buddy, I mean, it's bad. But the point I'm trying to get to is there's going to come a point where you're saying enough is enough. We're not paying you that much money now. We got to start bringing it down on these quarterbacks, because Malik Willis isn't making $30 million. And you just said it. You made it sound like that sounds crazy to me. But once Josh's conversion hits and all that stuff, and they make the restructure, $14 million over Malik Willis and hasn't done anything in this league.
Well, there's so many examples. There's so many examples, dude. Kyler Murray signed a 5-year $250 million deal. He's not going to be a Cardinal. Tua signed a similar deal. He's not going to be a Dolphin.
And he didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve that type of money.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like even teams that are not in the caliber of the Bills because of their quarterback, they're still paying similar money. Maybe not as much at the end of the day when the chickens come home to roost, but it's not that much different.
Yeah.
I mean, would you not rather be on the hook for 10 to 15 million more to have Josh Allen over Kyler Murray or Tua? I sure as hell would.
Oh, yeah. And
the other thing, too, is, the salary cap's going up 7 to 10% annually here. So, like, it's only getting more. You're only getting more and more money to spend, and you're having less and less time to capitalize on Josh Allen.
No doubt about it. Well, here. Speaking of money, and I want to get into this with you. So the cap didn't go up by as much as we thought it was going to go up to. So I don't know if the numbers are correct, if it's going to change, but what is it, $22 million right now?
Yeah, so that became official. It went up by $22 million, just over $22 million.
So
it's now at 301.2 officially.
There it is, 301. So $22 million. What was the expectation? 30 mil? Was that what it was?
25 was like the max. So we wound up coming in. It was slightly less of an increase. It was like 2% less of an increase from 25 to 26 than it was from 24 to 25.
So nothing outrageously crazy, but not what they expected, because that's enough. 5 mil is still a good chunk. So how confident are you, knowing what the Bills are trying to do in terms of freeing up? And I see that we're going to free up some coin. We can free up as high as $40 million based on a few restructures if they decide to do that, plus another 22. So I'll be nice to say we got 60. What could we say? 60 mil? If my math, listen, I'm not a mathematician here, but maybe when it's all said and done. Could the Bills have about, we'll say, $50 to $60 million? I'm sure it's possible. Low end 50. We'll say 50. Where does the money need to be placed? We understand what we need at receiver room. Is that where our money should be going? Should the Bills be focusing on that offense, or should we, not to anybody's happiness, but revert back to the defense and bolster the defense? We got a new defensive coordinator. We got some new pieces that we're going to need. Money needs to be spent on that defense. And you're going to have to give your defensive coordinator what he wants. Are you ready to be I suppose, are you ready to get back to giving everything to the defense again? More of what we had last year, because that's what it seems like it's going to go.
I have absolutely no problem with that. If the wide receiver position is addressed, I don't care if the rest of the Bills' financials are dedicated to the defense. Why? Well, because that, once again, has been one of their biggest roadblocks. I commended them heavily last year for doing what they did. The fact that they went all in on that D to try and solve what has been the glaring issue towards them getting to a Super Bowl, you can't knock it. Unfortunately, it's just not panning out no matter what they do. Now, whether it was Von Miller, various draft picks, Joey Bosa, if you want to throw him in there, whatever. They continuously keep trying. The success is kind of like what Zoe's alluding to right now. It hasn't been great. So the wide receiver, to me, when we're looking at the offense, it's a foregone conclusion. Everybody knows it. That's the direction you have to go on that side of the ball. I have no issue, though, if the Bills tackle that with the bulk share of their draft picks once again and the bulk share of their available cap this year being dedicated to, like we're seeing in the chat here, linebackers, back end, D front. Because once again, the Bills last year were, third and fourth in scoring outside of the top 10 in points allowed. And if you can just get that defense to like 7th or 8th, that's really been the margin. They've been losing by like 3 or 4 points in the postseason when they're putting up damn near 30. And I think you can either stay at 28 points per game or a little higher with solid additions to the wide receiver room. And then to really get this team to where they need to be, I'm more than fine with the rest of the emphasis going towards the defense because I feel like that's where it's necessary. How about you?
I'm with you, man. I have no problems with them investing back into that defense. I really don't. And it's necessary because if you look at what we're doing, we completely changed the scheme now. So now we got to figure out, okay, who's going to be our linebackers? Because we certainly can't go with, I mean, we could if we needed to, but Dorian Williams and Bernard. I don't mind it, but I feel like we could do better. Okay. So then you gotta figure out, okay, they're gonna bring Shaq Thompson back because Shaq Thompson outplayed Bernard tenfold. So now you gotta put him in that 3-4 defense. Then you gotta draft a linebacker. So there's a whole lot of things. Then we have a vacancy. Well, we will have a vacancy at safety. So what are you gonna do there? Is Jordan Hancock good enough to move back there? What the heck are they gonna do with Taron Johnson? Taron Johnson right now is like the odd man potentially out. Or does he transition to safety? So there's a whole lot of figuring out that we must do. The defensive front, we're one edge player away, and a bona fide edge player. Linebacker, safety. Bro, money. Bean's got to figure it out. He's got to find where he's going to put his money. Does he go receiver first round and said, the hell with the rest of it? We already got our tight end room set. Our offensive line room, we still got to figure that part out. We don't have a center, and we don't have a left guard. I feel that Cedric Van Prangt-Granger is prepped and ready to go at center, but he never played a damn snap because they put Alec Anderson in that center. So that's a whole different ballgame. So this offseason, like I said, that's why I asked you, how do you feel about Brandon Beane? Are you high on Brandon Beane? Bro, you got some work to do, Mr. Beane. You got some work to do. And I'll speak for myself. I was high on Beane for years. Now I'm just like, yo, all that word salad and all that stuff you're doing, bro, that's all talk. I need to see it. And once he strikes and he hits, bro, we're gonna be better for it. But boy, oh boy, we got some work to do. We definitely got some work to do. All right. But how's baby girl? She good?
She's good. Speaking of that offensive line that you were kind of alluding to there, Jeremy Fowler, man, he was grinding. He was grinding out in Indianapolis, getting us the goods, getting us the tidbits. He was the one that,
JF, huh?
Yeah, JF. He kind of gave us that look into what the Bills could potentially be doing at wide receiver with Dobbs and Shaheed there. Also had some comments on that offensive line situation, of course, regarding David Edwards and Connor McGovern.
Talk to me.
This is what Jeremy Fowler had to say in terms of that situation. Quote, the Bills left guard David Edwards and center Connor McGovern, free agents, obviously. He says Buffalo would be happy to re-sign one of them, with a bunch of teams that are looking for interior line help. But because of the Bills' cap issues, they could be looking to replace both. So it does seem as though it is a possibility that the Bills do not end up with either one of these guys, which would be a massive shakeup to the offensive line. This has been a fortress as of late. There have been no changes on the offensive line, and those guys that have been in that unit have been one of the best in the league. Now you could likely be looking at Alec Anderson and Cedric Van Pran Granger, who hasn't had that starting role, and it would be a completely different look than it has been in years past here. Do you still think that there's a chance that the Bills land one of these guys, or are you leaning more towards the idea of both of these guys being gone when the season kicks off here?
I'll stick to what I've been sitting on is I think both are gone. I think there's $20 million in one, or at least that's the market value for David Edwards, and then another $16, $17 million in Connor McGovern. If you were to bring one back, Connor McGovern would make sense to bring back because he's your center and he costs less. But then why did you draft Cedric Van Pran Granger? Like, you drafted him to obviously marinate, learn the system, learn to be in the NFL, and go on from there. But then David Edwards makes sense because then you can slot in Cedric Van Pran Granger. David Edwards plays left guard. Guards are hard to come by these days, so you want a solid one that knows the system. So be it. But $20 million, I don't know if I'm ready to go there. So this is where Alec Anderson comes in. So do you have both Alec Anderson and Cedric compete for that center spot, and then they go in free agency and find someone at the left guard? There's so many possibilities at this point. I'm not for both of them returning, and I'm okay with both of them going for good. Unless one of them comes back on a hometown deal and say, yo, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay here. But this is the NFL. You go where you're getting paid. So to me, you have your guys on the field for a reason. Alec Anderson, depth player. They like him. Legit. He's a grinder. Cool. Cedric, he's got collegiate experience, man. So now he's going to the NFL. Now he just got to get the NFL experience. You had Cromer for 2 years. See what you got. It's a risk, but you got to do it. We were going to take the same risk when Mitch Morse left, and then we got Connor McGovern in that center. We didn't know what we were going to get at Connor McGovern at center, but he did extremely well. Cedric Van Pran Granger under Cromer should give you the same thing. So, I say same thing. I should relax. Should give you great productivity. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm okay. It's financial because now you tie in $20 million at guard, bro, then you can't get aggressive. You can't get aggressive at the receiver room. You can't get aggressive anywhere because you don't got the funds. We just talked about it. 50 mil maybe max that we have. Bro, we can't tie all that money into the guard position, bro. We got that on the squad, bro. This is where you got to get cheaper. Got no choice. You got to keep rolling. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that I just hope that in pursuit of getting aggressive in other areas, the one area that you had locked down is a casualty. I understand taking somewhat of a slight step back. If the Bills do take somewhat of a slight step back, I mean, you're 2 years removed from Josh Allen being the least sacked quarterback in the league and not turning the ball over. You're 1 year removed from having the rushing title winner. That's as good as it gets. I understand going a step backward there and still being pretty damn good. But if it's a significant step backward, that is going to be an offset to whatever they wind up being aggressive with in other areas. So that's my concern. In order for them to move off of both, they have got to be, I would say, satisfied with what they have waiting in the wings. I don't think you can't interpret it any other way. Now, granted, do the financials factor into that? Sure. Like, are they as confident in what they would have as they would be if they had an unlimited amount of money to keep McGovern and Edwards? No. But is it good enough to where when I factor in the money and the talent, it's really not that big of an offset? With the money saved and now the talent going out on the field, does the money saved offset the talent coming off the field? But that's going to be an interesting area to really assess this year, Rico, is the offensive line, because it just seems like it's becoming inevitable. At least one of those guys gone, but I'm starting to feel because I'll say that we talked about this a little bit earlier. There are a lot of good teams with a lot of money to spend.
Yes, they are.
And when you're a really good team, I feel like the one area you might want to spend additional assets, like I keep going back to the Seahawks, but that's because I just feel like they're in a situation right now. Like they hit the lot. They hit the lottery.
Oh,
really.
they did, man.
I mean, they are literally living the dream right now. Like, why wouldn't you overspend on areas that you can literally fortify? You know, offensive line, to me, that's one of them. Defensive line, that's another. When you have excess money, that doesn't necessarily mean to me, like, go out and get another guy for JSN. Like, you already have JSN. He might be one of the best receivers in the NFL. You already took a flyer on Shaheed. Maybe you bring him back. But I would add more into those depth or those trench type areas, because that's how you can continuously remain as good as they are. So I don't know if the Bills are going to be able to compete with some of these teams. And as a result, like you said, if the aggression wants to be, if they want to express aggression this offseason, it feels like more likely than not, that's going to result in having to move off of your 2 offensive linemen in free agency.
And they're gonna have to get creative. That's another thing too. Like, I just can't remember. I think for some reason, the last time I remember the Bills were aggressive in free agency was the year that we signed both Beasley in the same year and John Brown in the same year. I remember I'm like, whoa, we are spending money, boy. We got the money. Let's go. I can't remember the last time we were as aggressive in free agency like that. And that's been a while. Cole Beasley,
you know what's amazing about that? You know what's amazing about that, looking back on it?
Yeah.
It's similar to them adding Palmer, Samuel. The crazy thing is, like, John Brown was a home run. I mean, you could argue John Brown was maybe the second best receiver Allen's had outside of Diggs in his career, right? And then Beasley was an all-pro. He was an all-pro. And these were 2 guys that were considered to be, you know, Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer type guys.
Right.
At the end of their career, and you're hoping maybe you get something. They got a lot. And then now, ever since, like, how lucky did we get at that time? And then ever since, every attempt has just been the complete opposite.
Bad, man. I mean, the best receiving core we had, I'm trying to think of, is when we had Emmanuel Sanders, we had Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs, we had Gabe Davis. Bro,
yes.
That core was nice, man. We got to get back to, you know what I mean, getting some quality and getting busy. But I mean, Diggs was in his prime at the time. So I guess we're going to have to live in this draft. So we better, I mean, listen, the prospects of drafts is nasty this year. So there's quite a few solid players that we can get in this draft. So if we can get, I mean, listen, we might have to go the route of what Brandon Beane did with Gabe Davis and Isaiah Hodgins. He went back to back, and both those players were going to be solid players at one point. Hodgins ended up having a decent year with Dable out in New York, and then he slowed down. Gabe Davis obviously got himself a big contract in Jacksonville, and then obviously the knee got blown out and then got blown out again. So tough year for those 2 guys, but we might have to go that route. Double dip at the draft, and who knows what they're going to do. But if we're paying guard money and we're playing center money, then we're going to have to get creative at this point. So at that point, looking at the offensive line, man, like you said, sometimes you just got to go with the depth that you have on your squad and keep it pushing. And I think that's where we're at right now.
So the NFL Combine's coming to its conclusion this afternoon, I believe, the final day.
Jeez,
and
it feels so fast, man. Golly.
It is. It's really compact, and they have these guys do a lot in a little amount of time. But you know what I find to be interesting is that these guys are doing far less than they ever have at the Combine in terms of participation. There was a great article written by Acme Packing Co. They're a Green Bay Packers blog site.
Okay.
And they were tracking the numbers of how many of the drills are participated by how many of the prospects. So you didn't have, in 2021, you didn't have the Combine because of COVID. And then after that, there was a short spike up because there was a lot of questions as to who was going to be what going into the NFL post-COVID. But in looking at 2023 onward, participation in these combine drills has steadily decreased each and every year. And this had me thinking, I was wondering your thoughts on this. Should the NFL make it a requirement that if you are going to opt in for the draft, that you have got to participate in all of the combine drills, because as of right now, that is not a rule. And I'm shocked the NFL has not done this yet. So what do you think about that? Because to me, it feels like with the spectacle that the combine has become, it doesn't feel like it's in the NFL's best interest to allow these guys to kind of sit out, because at the end of the day, they're signing up to go to the league. You would think that the stipulation in being able to do that would be, hey, you got to do this stuff or else, sorry, you can't declare.
Interesting, because that is a conversation that I've seen being had everywhere. So, but you're going to notice the correlation and then dip in everything, right? So you got a dip in the NBA when it comes to the All-Star weekend. Okay. Dip in the All-Star weekend. You got a dip in the Pro Bowl, right? Pro Bowl. What do you want to call it? Pro Bowl, end of year Pro Bowl game, right? You got a dip in that. Every aspect of sports. I mean, NHL's got their dip in they had to go with the Four Nations Cup because there's a dip in everything. And these players are there's less dedication to these things because of all these extracurricular things that are happening, right? So let's stick to NFL, or college players. They got nil money now. So like, bro, I ain't gonna do all that. I already know what I can do. You see the film. I'm getting paid already. I'm not gonna blow my knee out for you guys. Yo, you guys want to interview me, do all you need to do, private workouts, or do all that. That's what it is. No, it needs to come back to, if I invite you, you come and you do all the drills, period, right? If you're trying to get a job, this is how you do it. You get the job by then. Now, I also understand the argument, bro. Prime example, Lamar Jackson. I ain't run no 40. You know I'm fast. You know how fast I am. I don't need to run no 40 to prove to y'all that I can run. I know what I'm about. So then what do you do about somebody that opts out? So if you opt out of one, do you opt out of all? Right? So that's when it becomes tricky. But for me, if I'm a hiring GM, head coach, I need to see these prospects. I want to see this process, but it's not about that. It's all BS at the end of the day, and I'll tell you, and I'm going to get into this. It's all BS. It's all for TV. It's all for TV. Because back in the day, all you had to do was, hey, let me go on that website and find out how many. Oh, bro went a 4.3. Sick. It's all for show. So and some of these players, I guess they understand it. So they're like, bro, I ain't doing all this all for show. Just so y'all can make some money. I can make some. Bro, I ain't getting any of that money right now. So no, I ain't going to do it. So I understand both sides of it. So GM side, get in there so I can see what the hell I'm working with and see what I got. Right? All right, you said you're 6 feet. Well, you're 5'8".
Yeah.
Pavia,
exactly.
8,
they had him listed at 5'10". I think when he was in Vanderbilt, they had him at 6'2". Like, give me a break.
You feel me? So yeah. I need to see if that's what it is, man. So you said that you're 215 pounds. Boy, you $178. Where you get the 215 from? Okay, now I really truly see what he's about, right? Oh, collegiately, they're saying he ran a 4.3, and all of a sudden he runs a 4.6. Bro, it's not happening. Now,
exactly.
How do you mandate that? You can't. Oh, I don't know if you can.
No. Of course you can. It couldn't be easier. These guys aren't under any sort of contract. It couldn't be easier. It's not like they're already in the league and they're in with the NFLPA. You know, it's not like they already have these collective bargaining agreements that they're under that protect them from doing additional stuff. It is a privilege to be drafted in the NFL. Agreed. It is a privilege. When you go to the combine and sit out, you're almost telling me, I'm too good for this. You know what I got. You don't need to see this. Like, yeah, I know Lamar Jackson's fast. I want to see how fast he is in the 40. You know, I feel like this benefits guys. Jeremiah Love runs a 4.36 40. Now that's all anybody's talking about.
Yep.
Jeremiah Love, hell of a running back in Notre Dame. He was already going to be perhaps the top running back off the board, but I feel like now his draft stock rockets up because of that. I get on the other end of things, there will be draft stock that drops down as a result, but that's the way it should be.
It should be.
Because I'm trying to draft the best possible player, and if I need to consider every single element from hand size to height to weight to speed, I should have the ability for every single player to give me every single necessary metric. These guys have not earned the right to sit out yet, in my opinion, because they're not NFL players yet. I don't really understand how it's even allowed at this point for them to sit out because they're not drafted yet. To me, it would be as easy as saying, if you want to declare for the NFL draft, you are signing up to then declare for the NFL Combine. That is a rule.
I'm going to give you something. Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders comes into the end, and I don't know. I'm going to make it out. I don't know what team it was. The Buffalo Bills want to see Deion Sanders run a 40. Deion's like, I'm not even going to drop to you guys. So why am I even wasting my time for you guys? Hell no, I ain't doing it. All right. That's bold. Number one, that's actually very bold. So then what do you do with a guy like, what do you call it? The Mendez? What's his first name?
Mendoza.
Mendoza's likely going to be drafted by the Raiders. So I'm not working for anybody but the Raiders because I know they're going to draft me. So what do you do with a guy like Mendoza?
You're talking like private workouts?
No. I'm talking about, because did he do everything in the drills or no? I don't know if he did or not.
I don't think he threw.
Okay.
No.
So why would I need to throw? I'm going to be the number one draft pick. And the team that's drafting me is the Raiders. So why are the Jets asking me to go throw for them? Or not even the Jets. I'll use
that's the thing though. You would eliminate all of that. Like seeing them throw. Because like, what if the Raiders want to throw what they really want them? And then you go out there and it's like, oh my, I didn't realize that, Mendoza really can't hit that throw. Like, I feel like you should have the ability to have all of this information. Like, you are going to sign up to make these guys your franchise players, many of which you're signing up to make multi-million-dollar investments in.
Yep.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. Why would Mendoza throw? He's gonna go wide receiver. He's gonna go number one overall. If I'm Mendoza, I wouldn't throw either. You want to know when I would throw? When the league's telling me, hey, buddy, you better throw or you'll be throwing with Indiana again next year. Like that's how
if that's the case, then that's the case, because now you have to mandate these things to go down. So, and here's the thing too. If said player Mendoza like, yo, I ain't throwing, bro, that quarterback that nobody's really looking at, that didn't get that invite at the combine, I'll take that spot if he's not going to do that. But this is where you got to start mandating this thing to happen, because some of these guys are hiding the fact that they can't do certain things. And it's strategic at the same time.
Right.
So they're hiding that throw that he can't hit, man. They're going to ask me to throw that corner out, boy. I struggle with that thing, right? I don't want to throw. I'm going to just make it private. Bro, you got to, if you really want this thing to thrive like you want them to, you got to do it. Then the one thing that stands out to me that I loved is when Johnny Manziel did his combine. Helmet, shoulder pads, it was a spectacle. We loved it. It was great for TV, right? And he probably made his stock go up because that he was able to throw in the pads, whether it meant something or not. Those things do matter. And like you said, Jeremiah Love, 4.36, that big dude running 4.3. Are you kidding me? The amount of guys I saw run 4.3s this year, bro, it's unbelievable. So good on these guys. Can they mandate it? Will they mandate it? I think the more of this nonsense goes down where people are opting out to throw, them be like, okay, mandatory. Look at the NBA All-Star. They're struggling to try to figure out what they're going to do what. Now you got Steph over there saying, hey man, I'll shoot in the 3-point contest. And now he's like, yeah, I'll do it too. Yeah, at one point
but when you're an established superstar, like LeBron never wanted to do the dunk contest because God forbid he lost. LeBron's got a lot to lose there. Steph Curry, the same reason for the 3-point competition, right? You're considered to be the best shooter on the planet. You go in there and lose to Johnny Pancakes from the Utah Jazz that nobody's ever heard of in the 3-point competition. All of a sudden, Steph Curry's credibility takes a hit. I get that.
Yep.
These guys haven't earned a damn thing in the league. You haven't been there yet.
Hey, if they mandate it, that's even better for us, right? We can see everybody do everything, and then let's see how it plays out. But it's going to be tough for these guys to mandate, or they just say I ain't throwing, period. But then they say, hey, well then you don't get drafted.
Right.
And then that's wild. Oh, I'm not going to get drafted. I worked my whole year for this, just for me to get in underwear and run for you guys. Man, go F yourself. So there's going to be a back and forth that's going to be interesting to go with it. We'll see how that goes out. All right. Let's jump into some super chats.
Let's do it.
I'll roll into some super chats. Let's go with my man, Daniel. Daniel Bear Sports says, he's just going to say 3. He's giving Brandon Beane a 3 rating. He says, out of 5, bro, I'm on the middle, man. I'm at 3 right now. And I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit. My man Jam goes, we're done trying to make receiver 2s and 3s a number 1 wide receiver. We need to stop having Josh save us save us almost every game. It's mentally, it makes us lose. I'm with you on that. If we're going to really go out and try to get a bona fide guy to get it up, let's roll. You got to make it happen. So I'm with that right now. All right, let's roll. Let's go to the next super chat. I missed my bar.
They got to be legitimate wide receivers too, like wide receiver 2s, as like wide receiver 2s too. Like, you know, I don't know. The Bills had a lot of guys this year that I don't even know if they would have been wide receiver 2s on many teams, right? Well, Josh Dobbs, wide receiver 2, Shaheed, wide receiver 2. Like, if you have a bunch of those legitimate, bona fide wide receiver 2s, I do think that that's something. The Bills had a lot of fringe wide receiver 3s.
True.
You know,
what makes a wide receiver 1? To me, I was looking at wide receiver 1s. I was like, hey, if he commands 100, he has to have at least 100 targets, minimum 100 targets. That to me, that's a volume guy. We count on this guy to make plays. I think 95 targets was Khalil Shakir, and to us, he's not a receiver 1. So to me, 120 to 150 targets, that's your receiver 1, because you can always go to that person. You can move that receiver every which way you want to. That's your receiver 1. So I'm hoping that we maximize and get the guy that we need. All right, Jam comes in and says, yo, no more old receivers. 29 and under is the standard. Jam, I don't know, bro. Like 29 to me is you still got it. Once you start hitting that 33, all right, now you're in that spot where I'm not feeling that. But 29, you still got it at 29. I'm not really bugging on that. What about you, Bot? Is 29 too old for you at receiver?
Well, that's when you get into the idea, or that's when you get into the discussion of longevity, right? Because you mentioned Terry McLaurin earlier. He's 30 years old right now.
I need to see.
So you'd be biting off this contract that was 3 for 87, and he's 30. So I do sympathize with that to some degree. This is why when you brought up Garrett Wilson, like that to me is a no-brainer because of the age. 30 years old for McLaurin. Yeah, you might get a great year this year. What's next year looking like for that type of investment? So I look at all the best wide receivers in the NFL right now, Rico. They're all sub 30. All.
Yep. No, you're not wrong. Not wrong. What do you got? Tom Brady, 7 rings. My guy comes in, yo, with AJ, we easy win the East. Allen overrated, 13 seconds. All right, big fella. Thank you for that super chat.
AJ Brown, I'm assuming, to
I don't
New
know
England. And he'll be reading books on the sidelines by week 8.
Yeah, there you go. Our guy, Led Robster Money Mitch says, yo, I think aggressive means beating Canada and they go, oh, you son of a gun.
How about that?
Lucky son of a gun. Listen,
I don't care. You want to go on your rant about how bad 3-on-3 is, even though Canada couldn't score with double the shots on goal in 60 minutes?
Isn't that something? We're 5-on-3, can't even put it back in the net. And all I'm hearing is we dominated the U.S. team, and we still lost, fellas. We still lost, but I hate 3-on-3 concept, bro. If you're going to do it, do the game naturally the way it's supposed to be done. But that's international rules. That's how they play it. Kudos to the Americans. Y'all got 4 years to enjoy it, and then we'll wax you guys next time. It'll be all good. Money Mitch comes in and says, yo, being aggressive for Bean means yelling at Jeremy and Joe on WGR. In all seriousness, I want JSN, Harrison Jr., and Carnell Tate. No reason for why. I'm totally unbiased. Buffalo Fanatics is the best channel in history. Yeah, let's go get JSN and Harrison Jr. Put Carnell Tate. Carnell Tate, man, that is an intriguing pickup. That would be something. What do we got with Alex Moran?
Alex, double X, friend of the NFC West Roundtable. Good to see you, brother. The most company man Bean is my boss answer ever. Yeah, I mean, I think he's talking about like earlier, what was this? The most company man Bean is my boss answer ever. Yeah, that's the Joe Brady responding with
exactly.
The Josh Allen contract and whatever. Yeah, this is where that alignment thing comes into play again. Yep. This is what a lot of people's concerns were, including mine. When you promote from within house, how much is really changed? And we've seen a couple of sound bites where it makes you wonder exactly that. How much is really going to change? And as I keep saying, we are going to find out. It's why this year is going to be one of the more interesting in a long time.
No question about it. Led Robster comes back and says, hey, I think Brady is uncomfortable calling players bad. Fans are calling the receivers bad or awful. We are just saying that we lack a skill set that hasn't been in the room. A Honda Civic is a fine car, but but it isn't meant to be driven at 300 miles an hour. And you're right about that. Listen, man, Brady is a first-year head coach. He's going to learn the hard way on trying to be nicey nice guy, right? You're not a nicey nice guy anymore. You're the head coach, and you're going to be held accountable at a much higher stake than you were at offensive coordinator, answering questions for one day out of the week. When you're the head coach, you're on it constantly. So he's going to learn. You can't listen. We were on McDermott's behind for repeating the same thing. Got to look at the tape. Got to look at the tape. So I'm wondering what Joe Brady's line is going to be, right? McDermott was always, I got to go back and look at the tape. I got to go back and look at the tape. So I wonder what Joe Brady's going to be like. I'd love to see that wager go down. So Money Mitch.
Yeah, I was going to say, shout out to Money Mitch. Massive super chat. Really appreciate you, brother. We love you and constantly showing love. You are the man.
Right. My guy, our guy.
Just real quick, back to that point though, where no one's advocating for Joe Brady wanting to call a player bad. It's a poor form move on a coach. What I struggle with is, like I said earlier, laying it on a little too thick. You do not have to say, I just don't understand where these questions are coming from. I mean, it wasn't as bad as you guys are making it seem like. Brother, you can't even defend that. I'd love to, like, if you put him on a podium and said, hey, here, speech and debate team, Joe Brady versus Bills Mafia. Yep. Give me a 5-minute dissertation as to why it's not as bad as we thought. Because I'm all ears. Right, Rico? I'd love to hear, genuinely. Yep. Please tell me why it wasn't, because I would love to know, and you'll set me up for what it'll be in the future. So I'm not sitting here saying, oh, well, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. But it also can't be, it wasn't that bad, because it wasn't that great either.
No, you're right about that. My guy, Richie Fresh, our guy, Richie Fresh. Richie, I like McDermott, but we have to be honest with ourselves, man. McDermott tried with 4 coordinators and still couldn't get the big one. McDermott, the common denominator, in my opinion. I mean, that's a fair point. I mean, you had 4 cracks at it with 4 different coordinators, and it never worked out. But the funny thing is, the coordinators weren't the issue. It was his defense that was constantly letting us down, which is crazy. So, I mean, listen, man, 8 years, no championship. I think the more I look at it and think about it, the more I think Pagula was like, just rip the freaking Band-Aid off. Rip it off. I know it's going to hurt. I just got to do it. Done. Right? There probably wasn't much thought into it, or maybe there was a lot of thought. But I think he just ripped the Band-Aid off and said, we're done with this. And McDermott is now taking a year off. So we'll see. All right, my man Jam 2020 says, hey, if Brady is truly from the Sean Payton tree, we should have number one receiver, and this offense should look a lot different than this year. McDermott wanted an offense that was good for his defense, like running the ball and controlling the clock. I mean, if you look at Sean Payton's offenses, he's had Marquise Colston. If I'm going back, then he had with Drew Brees when throwing the ball to Jimmy Horn. Right, Mike Thomas was the number one receiver at one point, and then now you got with him in Denver, it's Cortland Sutton. So yeah, go ahead. Listen, we'll see. But these philosophies, I mean, they may have been in the same office, but they don't think the same as well. So maybe Joe Brady is going to give us something different. And what kills me the most is Joe Brady is a receiver at heart. He played receiver in college at William Mary. So like, bro, you coached Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Excuse me, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. You coached them both. You know the standard. You know what bona fide bomb-ass receivers look like. And you going to bring us Curtis Samuel? Elijah Moore? Come on, man. Yo, cut it out. You have an opportunity this year to be the man. Go ahead and get the damn receivers that we know that need to be impactful for this team. I ain't trying to hear all that. All right. J.R. Richardson. What up, J.R.? 70 months as my guy. All right. What up, fellas? I think the Bills sign either Alec Pierce or Rashid Shaheed, Romeo Dubs, trade for Crosby in June, watch the Bills surprise them. Boy, if they do something like that, buddy, you sign me up. That 2.5 that I have for Bean goes up to 5 immediately. But with $40 to $50 million, I don't know if we got all that. All right. Richie Fresh comes back and says, hey, what a pleasure on a Sunday night, boys. 2 things can be true. Thank McDermott, etc. But friction with Frazier, Dable, Dorsey, etc. We seeing the trend here. In my opinion, we found out the first 3 to 4 weeks. And yes, Super Bowl 61. My guy, Richie Fresh he's always on that. He's been running that thing since 59.
Pleasure's ours, Richie.
The pleasure is ours, baby. The pleasure is ours. Jam 20 says, yo, what do I say? Scorched earth, F them picks, man. Listen, there's going to come a time where Bean is going to have to say F them picks. Let's go out and get it. So maybe this might be the year. Our guy, Walter. What up, Walt? The reality of the QB position in the NFL is that if you have a franchise quarterback, just accept that about 25% of most of your cap is sunken cost. I mean, that's fair. I mean, that's the biggest cost on your squad. So yeah, about 25%.
Yeah. It's like being a multimillionaire. Oh, I owed $3 million in taxes this year.
Yeah.
Oh, well, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I owe $60 million to my quarterback. Oh, boo-hoo. He's Hall of Fame bound. Like,
no doubt.
It's a privilege to be paying that much money to a guy.
No doubt. No question about it. And we'll take that privilege all day. Get right. Love the content, guys. I can't get enough. Listen, McDermott was coaching on the borrowed time. He should have been gone after 13 seconds fiasco. As I am, I'm sure you guys are utmost confident in Brady. Go Bills. Listen, man. I'm confident Brady's gonna do a good job, but I'm not like he's gonna be the most amazing thing. One game at a time, literally. I want to see what he's got. So
I'm most confident in Josh Allen. Joe Brady, we will see. That's
fine answer. I like that. I like that a lot. Get right. Yo, Bot spoke of the success of the defense not coming to fruition. Isn't all on McDermott, he says. Did we not overextend the D for McDermott whilst averaging 28 plus points?
Get right. 4 words. I had to count it out because I'm just not that bright. We will find out. This is going to be one of the most intriguing parts of the season. Is if this defense comes in this year with Jim Leonard and they're allowing, and they're like top 8 in the league points allowed, how can you take anything away other than, I mean, this was one hell of a move. I mean, there needed to be changes defensively and changes we got, right?
No doubt.
One thing I've often referenced when McDermott was moved on from was the fact that this defense in big moments did not show up. But in totality, throughout McDermott's time in Buffalo, this defense was unequivocally a top 10 unit in almost all categories. So on the other end of that, we could also go into this year with Jim Leonard, and this D is getting rolled. And we could sit there and say, and it wasn't as bad as we thought it was it? Once again, either or, we will find out.
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. I like it. Signified Nose comes in and says, hey, joined late, boys. Been waiting to tell you, Rico, hockey is our sport. Get the heck out of here.
Boy. Tell him, Signified. Tell him.
Ready to start learning American, buddy. What the heck is a kilometer? Hockey is USA's like 4th most popular sport.
Yeah.
It is everything, bro. We are born in a pond. We come out the water like this, and we got a hockey stick. We just got it like that, right?
Can you skate?
Anyway, I can skate, but am I nice like that? Like if somebody put skates on me and say, "Yo, race me," I could do that.
Okay.
If you've ever rollerbladed and you skated, it's all the same. But don't ask me to stop like those hockey players when the nice ice, the shavings go like that. Don't ask me to do that. I can't do it.
I can't skate, so that's why I asked. I can't even stand up on skates.
Taking lessons when I was younger. I was like, I can't believe my mom even did that. But she's like, this is the Canadian way. You got to learn. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Put me in this case, girl. Signified Note says, yo, we coming for the curling next. Now,
damn right. Tell him Signified.
Curling is our sport, buddy. You ain't.
Nah, we're coming for the crown. We're coming for the crown. Give us 4 more years.
There you go. Our guy Phil from London, Phil London Fanatic says, hey, don't forget when Bot did the ChatGPT episode a couple years back, it predicted 26-27 was our season. Hey,
wow, what a Phil. I was just gonna say, Phil, holy hell. Can you tell me tomorrow's lottery numbers? I mean, my God. What did I have for breakfast? Phil's recalling I didn't even know I did a ChatGPT episode. But hey, Phil, nobody's a bigger advocate of AI than your boy Rico. Right here. So maybe it's dead on. Now it wasn't. What's your guy? You're a Copilot guy. Perplexity. What's your guy?
I like Copilot. Copilot's pretty cool. I miss Copilot.
Well, ChatGPT told us 26-27, so may it come to fruition this year. Great poll, London.
I mess with it. All right, last one from our guy Jam. Jam says, "Yo, Jim's trying to be head coach. He's not gonna fail, man. I like that, man. Jimmy's got an opportunity." So we're about to find out. We will find out. That's exactly what's going to take place.
That's going to be that's my version of Pierre's Remember Who We Have. Is right. Well, you got the sweatshirt on right now. I'm going to get the sweatshirt made.
Find out.
We will find out. And it's going to be a silhouette of McDermott and a silhouette of our guy, Joe Brady. As we round out, by the way, nearly 2 hours in the books, want to give a shout out to our friends over at Sleeper. I know the season has come and gone, but basketball and football are in full swing right now. Get in on the action over on Sleeper. Link in the description below. Click that, sign up for Sleeper. Once you do, you will immediately get a free $20 entry. You can use that on the NBA, NHL, you name it. It's all on Sleeper. Once you use your free $20 entry, use the promo code on your screen, BF25. That will get you a 100% match up to $100 on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper terms of use for details. Currently available in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper via the link in the description below. And while you're checking them out, make sure to check out their new Teams Picks feature, where you can pick teams like the Portland Trailblazers to get it done over the Utah Jazz. Just one more cool element that Sleeper has added to their awesome app. So check it out while you're over there. Link in the description below. Rico, what do you got? 2 hours in the
I got
books.
nothing for you, man. So hopefully we're gonna try to do shows at least once a week. And we'll roll it and we'll call it from there. But what do you got?
You said it, and I'll emphasize it. We appreciate each and every one of you stopping in on a Sunday evening, nearing 1,500 of you as we close out. Thanks so much to each and every one of you. Next week, it gets interesting. Free agency kicks off. We can't wait to join you then. But in the meantime, thanks for stopping by for this one. That's Rico. I'm Bot. Much love, as always.
Go
Bills.